An 80-year-old lady is kicked out of a store, but everyone regrets it when they find out who she is. Hello, welcome. Like, subscribe and turn on notifications. Get out of here, this place is for people who can afford to buy, not for people like you. These words came from an elegant, refined lady to a poorly dressed young man with messy hair and an unpleasant smell. Ma'am, I know I'm not in the best condition, but I've managed to save some money to buy the blouse on sale in the window. Well dressed in it, maybe I can get a job, the young man said in a very humble tone. However, even those words did not reach the lady's heart. The young man was at the entrance of the clothing store, but the lady called some security guards who removed the young man from the front of the store. He then left peacefully with his face red from embarrassment and sadness. The lady watched him go to the end of the block to make sure he wouldn't return. She was satisfied, as that man could bother other customers. The beautiful, elegant, and wicked lady was named Morgana. She owned the store, but not just that one, she also owned several others scattered around the city, including clothing stores, beauty salons, and aesthetic clinics. Morgana left the store and got into her car with a private driver. "Take me to the hospital, I have a terrible headache from all the stress I had today," Morgana told the driver. He immediately took her to the hospital. Morgana was quickly attended to, took some medications, and underwent some tests. The results would only come out after a few days. Morgana was stressed, the situation with the young man who wanted to enter her store made her angry. Morgana asked her driver to drop her off at a jewelry store and dismissed him, as she would call back when she finished. In the store, Morgana bought a ring, its value was $10,000, but that wasn't much for her. The sensation of putting something so expensive and beautiful on her finger made her happy and excited. Morgana left the store and looked for her phone to call her driver, but she had forgotten it in the car. With no other option, the elegant lady went in search of a taxi, but none appeared. Morgana started walking and searching on other streets and unwittingly entered a deserted area. She began to walk faster, but a man quickly grabbed her purse and the ring she had just bought. She screamed, but no one appeared to help her. To worsen the situation, Morgana fell to the ground and got all dirty with mud. Her hair, which was impeccable, became completely disheveled. The man had already disappeared from her sight and Morgana was still on the ground, crying and without anyone's help. After pulling herself together, she went to a busier place and asked for help from people passing by on the street. But everyone looked away. She didn't understand why they refused to help her, as she had always been a well-regarded and well-treated person. Morgana just wanted to make a call for her driver to pick her up, but everyone even refused to look her in the eyes. She then cried silently and walked slowly towards the store where she had bought the ring. On the way, she looked at her reflection in a store window. Only then did she realize her state. She looked like a homeless person. Her clothes, even though they were designer, were all dirty with mud and her hair was in the worst possible state, which made her realize why no one was talking to her. A young girl passing by on the street saw her crying and asked if she needed help. After explaining everything, the young girl lent her the phone and finally Morgana was able to speak with her driver. She first went home to take a bath and get dressed before going to the police station. At home that night, the feeling of being despised still ate away at her inside. She had always been well treated, but a simple change made her despised. This feeling lingered for days inside her. It was even worse than having lost her purse and the luxury ring she had bought, because for her that amount was negligible. The day of the return to the doctor arrived and Morgana went for her consultation. The doctor was very serious, but he couldn't hide the truth. Morgana had an aneurysm that required surgery, however, due to her age, the surgery would be risky. Morgana was caught between a rock and a hard place. If she chose not to have the surgery, she could lose her life at any moment. If she did the surgery, she also ran the risk of not surviving. This shook her. She left the hospital not knowing what to do. Her driver saw her silently crying in the back of the car, but said nothing, as he knew her reputation for firing any of her employees for simple things. However, she kept crying silently. The driver then said he knew a place where he liked to relax when he had problems. Morgana agreed to go there. It was a formation of rocks that went into the sea. The wind was relaxing and the view was beautiful. Morgana thought about everything she had been through in recent days. She was mistreated because of her appearance, but remembered that she had done the same thing to that young man the other day. She never married or had children. If she were to pass away, everything she built would be lost. She would have to pass her businesses to someone, as she didn't know how much longer she had to live. Morgana felt an emptiness in her chest. She had never done anything good for anyone, only for herself. Her life seemed meaningless. Morgana spent her days in thought. She noticed that some of her employees were like her, mistreating people. Morgana decided to have the surgery, but didn't trust anyone to manage her businesses while she was recovering or if she didn't wake up from the surgery. At home, she decided to do something about it. Morgana went to her housekeeper and said, "I know you also make clothes to order. I would like you to make some special pieces for me. I promise you will be very well paid." The housekeeper accepted and listened to how she wanted her clothes. The girl didn't understand why Morgana wanted such clothes, but the next day they were done. Morgana thanked her a lot and paid the young girl very well. Morgana then dressed and went to her driver. He was speechless, and when he was about to say something, Morgana told him he would understand everything later. Morgana was wearing clothes that looked dirty and torn, and her hair was so disheveled that she was unrecognizable. Her first stop was at an aesthetic clinic that was hers. This was one of the first businesses she had set up. Morgana was only going to enter to ask for a glass of water, but one of the attendants immediately called security. "This place is not for you, old lady, better get out of here, I don't want to have to push you out." The manager appeared, and when he saw her he ordered that she be put out. "But I just want a glass of water," said Morgana. But they didn't even do that for her. Morgana left the place and returned to the car. She was upset. Her driver soon realized what she was doing and said, "Do you want me to take you to another one of your stores?" She nodded her head and he took her. Morgana was going to each of her enterprises to see in which she would be well received. Her next venture was a beauty salon, one of the most renowned in the city. Morgana entered with the same dirty and torn clothes, but this time she had a bag with a lot of money. When she entered, everyone looked at her. Morgana went to the counter and asked them to fix her hair. She also said she could pay and showed the money to the attendant. Finding the situation very strange, the attendant called the manager of the place. When the manager saw Morgana, she kindly told her to wait just a little bit and she would be attended to shortly. Morgana smiled, perhaps she had found someone worthy of working for her. While waiting, Morgana noticed that the manager and the attendant were whispering to each other, until the attendant went to the phone and dialed just 3 numbers. Realizing the situation, Morgana hurried out of the salon and asked her driver to leave immediately. "What happened, ma'am?" asked the driver. Morgana then said, "They found it strange for someone dressed like this to have so much money, and probably called the police. I saw her dialing just 3 numbers, she must have been calling 190. Her driver asked how she realized this so quickly. Morgana said with a sad look that it would be something the person she used to be would do. She and her driver passed by several of her enterprises, but she was not well received in any of them. There was only one place left. Morgana stood in front of the clothing store quite disheartened, but decided to enter. As she entered, another person came in with her. It was the same young man she had expelled because of his appearance. However, he did not recognize her. She stood at the entrance of the store and followed every step of the young man with her eyes. He was still wearing the same clothes from that day. The manager, Lucas, went directly to speak with him. Lucas shook hands with the young man, named Raphael. Morgana realized that it was not the first time he had been there. Morgana listened attentively to the entire conversation. Lucas said, "Was the blouse you bought here that day good?" Raphael then said, "Yes, it fit perfectly, but now I have managed to save a little more money and can buy pants and sneakers, so I can finally look presentable and go for a job interview. People never let me enter stores because of my appearance. I have even been kicked out of another store by a very rude and evil lady. Only you have treated me well." Lucas was surprised and said, "My God! That must have been a terrible situation. But if you are looking for a job, we might be able to help you. I can arrange a position for you in stock replenishment. The salary is not the best, but it can help you." Raphael, with shining eyes, almost crying, said he would definitely accept. Raphael tried to hug Lucas out of happiness, but realizing he was dirty and not very presentable, he stepped back. Lucas noticed this and said it didn't matter. He went up to Raphael and hugged him. Finally, he told him to come back tomorrow to start working. Raphael then left the store and even forgot to buy the clothes he was going to buy. Lucas saw Morgana standing and went to serve her. Despite Morgana's appearance, Lucas treated her very well. Morgana said she needed some cheap clothes, but it had to be cheap because she had little money. He took her to the sales section and showed her some clothes. Morgana picked 2 pieces and said she would take them. At the checkout, she was also well served, and on the way out, the security guard opened the door for her and wished her a great day. However, before leaving, she asked Lucas why he was serving. His role was manager. He didn't need to serve someone like her. Lucas said he liked to be at the front to see how everything was going and not just sit in a room pretending to work. Outside, Raphael was sitting on a bench eating a snack. Morgana went up to him. Before she could say anything, Raphael saw her appearance and, thinking she might be hungry, offered her a piece of what he was eating. Morgana thanked him, but said she did not want it. She took the bag with the clothes she had bought and gave it to him, saying it was a gift, and then she left and went to the car. When he opened the bag, there was a pair of pants and shoes. Raphael was surprised and looked around to thank the lady who had given him the clothes, but she had already disappeared. With that gift, he could return to the store the next day in nice clothes to work. The next day, Morgana returned to the store, but this time dressed as she always did, with her jewelry and designer clothes. Lucas noticed that the owner of the store had entered and went to her. He said he was at her disposal for anything. Morgana said she wanted to see the stock, just for a routine inspection. In the stockroom, Raphael was already working. When he saw Morgana, he felt a chill and was paralyzed. He immediately thought she would expel him from there, just as she had done before. Morgana looked at Raphael and said, "I have high expectations of you. Continue to be as diligent as you have always been, and you will certainly rise high in my company. And one more thing, those clothes look perfect on you. I might have had a cold heart, but I definitely have a good taste for matching clothes." Have a great workday. Morgana left with a smile, leaving Raphael very confused, but happy to have the job and not be expelled. Days later, Morgana held a meeting with all her managers. She explained her health situation and said that some managers would be fired because they were not in tune with the new mindset of her enterprises. Finally, she pointed out that Lucas would be her substitute and would manage all her stores. Lucas stood up, stammering, and thanked her for the opportunity. Morgana asked him to sit down. Her choice was based on his effort and excellent service, as well as his exceptional resume. Morgana could finally have her surgery. She was nervous, afraid of not making it, but happy to perhaps redeem herself. As she entered the operating room, she felt her whole life passing before her eyes. Morgana wanted to do more for people. Unfortunately, she realized the harm she had done to some people only recently. It would be a risky surgery and she might not wake up. The doctor administered the anesthesia. Morgana closed her eyes. She dreamed of her childhood running through the fields. She dreamed of her first love and her first disappointment. She dreamed of her entire life. Then everything went dark. Calm. Calm. Everything went well. Try to rest. I hope you liked the story. Like, comment, and share. Thank you for watching.